Welcome to part 4 of my Passport to Pretty Jolly Holiday workshop. This is the final part and the bonus tutorial to show you how to make a sweet little luminaria. Essentially, I have a tea light inside. I got these inexpensive little guys at the drugstore. You can certainly use a candle, but make sure you put it in some sort of a votive so you don't have a fire disaster. And in the dark, this obviously is going to show up a lot more. The part that we're going to be working on today is the outside shade area, which will have the punch ornaments cut out, and there's actually a design I created in here using the Takes Till Christmas stamp set. But let's get started, because I think you're going to think this is a lot of fun and very, very easy. I'm going to start out with a piece. I've got garden green here, but for the luminaria I just showed you, I used old olive, but this happens to be garden green, which I've cut to 3 inches wide by 10 1/4 long. In addition, I've cut some strips of Jolly Holiday paper, and I've cut them to 1/2 inch wide to also 10 1/4 long. I have scored, really easy scoring to remember, 2.5, 5, 7.5, and 10. There would be a little 1/4 inch hangover. That doesn't sound very good. Additional piece so that you can attach at the end. And I also scored these pieces the same, 2.5, 5, 7.5, and 10. So I'm going to set that aside and show you this is the perfect size for using my ornament punch. And I'm going to set it all the way in and then center it between the 2 score lines. So if it's all the way in, we're going to consistently be able to put these on the shade in the same spot. As long as I get them between the 2 score lines, we are in great shape. So there isn't a lot of measuring. I'm not a big measuring kind of gal anyway, so this is pretty fun for me. And then the last one, I'm going to make sure I've got it in there. See how easy that was? They're all in a nice, neat little row. Then I'm going to use some snail to attach. Using little bits of it, I don't want it to float away from the base, so I'm using a little more snail than I might normally use. And I am going to attach it right at the base. This would look cute also if you used a little border punch to do a little scallop edging along here, or the eyelet border. Any of our border punches would really give this some jazz. Be cute. And then I'll do the top portion. Same thing. I'm just going to use some snail. A little more than usual because I really do want it to hang tight to the Luminaria shade. You can see where I'm working. Okay, the next step essentially is to fold on each of these on the score lines. And I'm looking for my little tab on this last one. This one went a little long. I probably wasn't paying attention when I did my cutting. Been there, huh? Snip that off. And I'm a big believer that when you have 3D and you're going to have a corner like this that really should not have a wardrobe failure, you should use sticky tape. So I am going to use some sticky tape to attach it for you. But first, come to think of it, I want to actually do the interior part of the shade. So let me move on to the proper order of things. I'm going to be heat embossing. And I'm going to use some Versamark, this ornament stamp from Takes Till Christmas, and a 2x2 piece of vellum cardstock. And yes, you can heat emboss vellum. So I'm going to ink it up with Versamark and stamp it. I do 2x2s because I want it to look consistent on the inside. That's just how I roll. Kind of stamp it, make sure I get the Versamark everywhere. Boy, it looks pretty already. It gives such a pretty little see-through look. And then I am going to use some clear embossing powder. And I use these powder pals so that I can be sloppy the little funneled end helps me so that I can get all the remaining back into the original canister and use it again. And that little bit of flicking I did at the end was just to get any remaining dust off. I've got the heat tool. I'm going to start it going for you. I let it heat up for just a few seconds. That way it's not blowing any little particles around that when they're heat embossed might look like they're in the wrong place. So I let it heat a bit, and then it will immediately start heating and adhering so I don't have that little blow around effect. Now if you're smarter than me, you're going to be using tweezers and not getting quite so close. That's just me. I've just done it so many times that I'm a little reckless. So hopefully now you can see this shiny finish. Boy, I hope it shows up on the video. I'll make sure that you get some good pictures just in case it doesn't. The next step would be, frankly the final step, unless you want to just jazz it up, would be to take a mini glue dot and put it on the side that faces out. I've got the shiny side is going to face the outside of the shade. So I am going to actually put a glue dot on each corner on the shiny side because I'm going to be attaching it from the inside. In the very far corners, mini glue dot and mini glue dot. And then very simply, I'm going to line it up inside here. And attach it. So you have this sweet little Luminaria. On the one that I created in advance, I did the exact same thing. The only difference is I used old olive textured cardstock. I used some Jewels Basic Pearls. Each side is a little bit unique. I thought that made it fun. I used some Basic Rhinestones Jewels to jazz up this cherry cobbler. That's from the Regal's designer buttons. Here's a vanilla neutrals button with a pearl on it. Here I layered the another pearl, so nice that they're stick-on top of a flower cherry cobbler button. And the final cherry cobbler button I put on and tied a little bit of our 1/8 old olive taffeta ribbon through. If you do a nice neat little point, you can actually thread it through, and it looks really, really cute. And last but not least, I have these leftovers. So it's like, I don't like to waste anything. So I was thinking, if we put them all together, and I were to adhere these to a piece of paper, I'm being spontaneous here, watch out, huh? I'm going to put this last one here. We can come up with a really cute little design. I can see that for spring or the holidays. You can even spread it out a little bit and cheat, make it more like a flower. Or you could even add another ornament punch and make a cute little element that you could stick on. Just maybe a very vanilla background and just one sentiment. Okay, enough already. Thank you so much for joining me for this Jolly Holiday Workshop. It's been a pleasure to put the projects together and to be able to share them with you. Thank you. Bye-bye.